Hi guys, welcome again to this tutorial on inheritance. As you might be already knowing, inheritance is one of the four principles of OOPS. In the past, we have already seen the other three principles of OOPS, which are abstraction, encapsulation, and polymorphism. Now, in this tutorial, we will see the last one, which is the inheritance. So, what are we going to learn in this tutorial? We will learn what is inheritance. What are the types of inheritance? Some examples of inheritance in Java. What are the benefits and what are the disadvantages of inheritance? And in case you want to prevent something from getting inherited, how to do that. So let's first understand what is inheritance. So it's the mechanism by which any object can acquire the properties of another object. So basically, just imagine that children inherit or acquire the property of their parents. Similarly, children objects can or subclasses can inherit or acquire the properties and the methods of the parent class. So that is called inheritance in OOPS. So as you might have already understood, inheritance requires a hierarchy of classes. That means there must be some top level class and it will have some properties which will be inherited by its subclass, and it can again be inherited by the subclass of this subclass. That means grandchild of the top class, and it can go on and on. So for inheritance to work, there has to be some kind of hierarchy of classes. So now let's understand a little bit more. So inheritance helps in passing common properties and methods to classes. So if we look at this inheritance from another angle, that also means that this is, suppose you want that some common properties or methods should be passed on to many other classes, so you can make them inherit a particular class. So that way you can push certain common features and functionalities to child classes. So you just think of it like is a relationship or is a type of relationship to understand it better. For example, dog is an animal. That means dog is inheriting the properties of animal class. Car is a vehicle. That means car is going to inherit the properties of vehicle class. And duck is a bird. That means ducks are going to inherit whatever are the properties in the bird class, and so on. So here in all of these three examples you saw, we said that is a. So is a very important word whenever you're talking about inheritance. If you can describe any two objects with the relationship of is a, that means there is some kind of inheritance. For example, another example is lion is a type of cat. That means lion is a. So lion class is inheriting the cats. So one of the advantages of inheritance is you can have a common code, so you don't have to write it again and again in different classes. So it prevents code duplication. Now, what are the types of inheritance? So there are three types of inheritance. One is single inheritance, second is multi-level inheritance, and third is multiple inheritance. Now let's see what these are. So first one we are seeing is single level inheritance. That means there is one parent class and one subclass. So the subclass or the child class is inheriting the properties of the parent class. So this is called single level inheritance. The second type and the hierarchy in this scenario is restricted to just two classes, or the hierarchy level is single level. Then second level is multi-level. So multi-level can be like two or more, it might be 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So here, as you can see, cats are types of, or is a type of mammal, and lion is a type of cat. So there are 3 levels here, and that is why called multi-level inheritance. The third one is multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance means one child class is inheriting properties from 2 parent classes. For example, hovercraft is inheriting properties for both land vehicles so that it can move on land, and it is also inheriting the properties of water vehicle so that it can move on water. So as you can see, single class can extend 2 or more classes. So this type of inheritance is not supported by Java, but it is supported by many other languages including C++. Now let's see one example of single inheritance in Java. So here we can see there is a fish class, and it has got a property called name, and there are setters and getters for this property. So this fish class is inherited by salmon. So we say public class salmon extends fish. That means salmon class is the child class and fish is the parent class, and this salmon class has a property called type. So we are having getter, which is set and get. So getters and setters for salmon class. So this section, which is in pink, actually will not be the code within the salmon class, but they are from here. So I just wanted to show that salmon class inherits the methods of fish class. So it can get access to, or it can call directly the set method and get method, and it will get the name of whatever the name is here. Okay, next we will see a very simple example of multi-level inheritance. So multi-level inheritance, as you might have seen in the previous slide, is an inheritance which involves more than 2 classes, and it can have 3 or more levels. So as we can see on the screen, the top class is called sportsman, and it has got a variable called name. The second class is called soccer player. So soccer player is a type of sportsman. So we say public class soccer player extends sportsman. So the soccer player has access to the name variable which is inside the sportsman, plus it also has access to the team variable, the team for which this player plays. Then the third level, which is the forward. So there can be many kinds of soccer player, like forward, midfielder, or goalkeeper. So let's assume that there is a player type called forward. So forward extends soccer player. That means the forward is a type of soccer player. So this forward class has its own variable called number of goals which has been scored by the forward. So other variables which are accessible to this class are team from the soccer player, which is its immediate parent, and name, which is the parent of its parent. So the forward class inherits the common or the variables which are declared in its parent classes. So this is an example of multiple inheritance. Now let's see what are the benefits of inheritance. So one of the major benefits of inheritance is code reuse by the subclasses. That means you can have a common code which is declared in the parent, and then it can be accessed and used by its child class without having to write it again, which means you can prevent duplication of code. Secondly, it can also happen that you might be having 2, 3, or 4 classes which have a common parent, and you might observe that they have certain common functionality in many of those child classes. So what you can do is you can move that common code up into the parent class so that it becomes accessible to all the child classes. So again you can remove the duplication. Third benefit is, although you can have some common code which is used, which can be used by all the child classes, still one or more child classes can decide that although there is a common code with a particular method name, but they would still like to go for their own implementation of the method without using the parent class code. So it provides kind of flexibility where you can decide whether you want to use the parent class code or your own child class code. Now let's see what are some of the disadvantages of inheritance. So one of the most common disadvantages, it creates tight coupling between two classes. That means two classes become too much dependent on each other, and whenever any of those classes change, it can affect the other class. Usually design principles say that you should go for loose coupling so that any change in any one class does not affect the other class, but inheritance creates tight coupling between two classes. That is the major problem with inheritance. So another problem is, as the time goes by, it can lead to more maintenance work. So how it happens is, for example, let's say you have multiple layers of classes or many subclasses which are extending a particular common class, and if any new variable is introduced in the parent class, so it can affect or it can be seen in all the child classes, although some of them may not even need to know about that common variable or common method. So, and sometimes it can also affect the algorithm of the child classes. That means you have to write more code in the child class to make sure that it is not affected by any addition or removal of code in the parent class. So over the long term, it can also cause maintenance nightmare in application which are having too much of inheritance applied within it. So how can we prevent inheritance? So in Java, what you do is you just declare the methods of the parent class private, which you do not want to be inherited by child classes. So whenever a method is declared as private, what happens is it becomes visible only within this particular class where this method is declared, and it is not visible in any other class including its child classes. So if you want something not to be inherited, you have to declare that method as private. So that is the way to prevent inheritance. So friends, that's all I have for this brief tutorial on inheritance, and I hope you liked this and if you found it useful. So please leave your comments below, and please do not forget to like this video, and also I would like to see you in the future videos wherein I will be talking about more concepts and more practical videos wherein I show you how to solve many problems. So thank you.